Welcome back, everyone, and thanks for tuning into another deep dive treasure hunt where we explore the most unbelievable coin discoveries that might be hiding right under your nose. And today we're diving into the astonishing and almost mythical story of the 1994 Washington quarter that has been reported in collectors' circles, rumors, conventions, late-night forums, and whispered discussions as being worth an eye-melting $372 million, not because it contains gold or silver, or because it belonged to a president, or because it was found in some buried chest, but because of a bizarre cluster of minting errors, layered mistakes, experimental processes gone wrong, accidental double pressings, metal blending defects, planchet anomalies, die clashes, and even what some claim might be a rare transitional composition test strike that somehow ended up in circulation. And the more you peel back the layers of this wild story, the deeper and stranger it gets, creating a hypnotic tale that grips collectors and dreamers who check their pocket change every day, wondering if lightning might strike for them, because according to the legend and ongoing speculation, this particular 1994 quarter was never supposed to exist in the form it appeared, beginning with the first and most widely discussed error, a planchet mix-up that supposedly involved a leftover experimental alloy that the mint was testing for durability during the early 1990s, meaning that instead of being struck on the standard copper-nickel-clad disc, this quarter may have been struck on a mysterious trial blend that had a subtle sheen unlike any normal quarter, a slightly off-tone metallic ring when tapped, and unusual resistance to wear under magnification. And this composition anomaly alone would already make it a six-figure or even seven-figure rarity to the right bidder. But the mysteries don't stop there, because specialists also point to the alleged double strike that left shadowed impressions around Washington's jawline and neck, with slight doubling around the date and the P mint mark, and the doubling is not the typical machine doubling that reduces value, but a clean, crisp, intentional-looking double strike that indicates the coin shifted between blows of the die, meaning something very unusual happened at the press. And the legend says that this quarter also carries a dramatic die clash on the reverse, where faint outlines of Washington's profile appear, ghosted behind the eagle, as if two worlds collided, giving the coin a surreal layered effect that collectors describe as a phantom clash. But even that is only the start, because the most astonishing claim about this coin's value comes from the possibility that during the minting year 1994, the Philadelphia Mint was experimenting with micro-engraving security tests to combat counterfeiting, which according to rumors resulted in a few test dies being used briefly before being scrapped, leaving micromarks or near-invisible patterns inside the fields of certain coins. And this supposed 1994 mega rarity reportedly shows tiny repeating geometric patterns under extremely high magnification, patterns that do not appear on any officially documented quarters, and if true, that would instantly catapult its rarity into previously unimaginable levels, because it would not merely be an error coin, but a piece of experimental mint technology that should have been destroyed. And if you stack that on top of the composition anomaly, the double strike, the die clash, and the mysteriously warped rim that enthusiasts say exhibits an unusual tapered edge almost like a partial collar strike combined with uneven metal flow, you begin to understand why some collectors whisper that this coin might be one of the rarest modern minting accidents ever conceived. And while the official mint records show no such test pieces surviving, that only fuels the legend further, because the idea that a single coin might have slipped out of the facility undetected and entered circulation makes it the numismatic equivalent of a unicorn, a once-in-a-civilization find that transforms a mundane pocket change item into a world-shattering collectible. And as the story grew, collectors began speculating not only about the errors but about the strange conditions under which this quarter supposedly surfaced, with rumors claiming it was originally found in an ordinary coin roll by someone who at first dismissed it as a damaged quarter before noticing the odd texture and doubled elements, and the finder allegedly took it to multiple experts who were stunned by the combination of anomalies and could not identify its precise origin, leading to increasing speculation about whether an experimental die or prototype alloy had gotten mixed into regular production, something that has precedence in U.S. mint history. though extremely rare, and as tales of this coin spread deeper into collector communities, people began attributing more and more possibilities to it, such as the idea that it might have been part of a secret diagnostic strike run meant to test press adjustments, or that its unusual alloy might have been the result of an accidental contamination in the metal rolling process, which created a one-of-one composition unlike any other 1994 quarter known. And as hypotheses multiplied, so did the imagined price tag, with some enthusiasts insisting that if this coin ever reached a major auction house, the combination of hype, rarity, experimental features, and pure novelty could push ultra-wealthy collectors into a bidding frenzy severe enough to drive the price into 9 digits, and that's how the legendary value of $372 million began appearing in discussions. Not as a confirmed selling price but as a theoretical apex fueled by the coin's unique cocktail of errors and the feverish imagination of a community that loves the idea of discovering life-changing treasure in everyday pocket change. And while such a price is beyond any realistic market precedent, the excitement surrounding the story serves a powerful purpose for collectors and casual viewers alike, inspiring people to look closely at their coins, to learn about minting processes, to appreciate the rare combination of circumstances that create true error coins, and to stay open to the idea that something extraordinary could appear at any moment in the most ordinary place. And that's why the tale of the 1994 $372 million quarter continues to captivate, continuing to evolve as new theories emerge about additional micro-errors such as the slightly rotated die alignment, the subtle weakness in the eagle's feathers suggesting a fractional strike pressure drop, the strange flow lines that indicate the die may have been mislubricated, and the minute-raised bumps near the motto that some say resemble unintended die polish remnants, each tiny detail adding fuel to the legend and magnifying the idea that this single accidental survivor of a chaotic production moment could represent the ultimate modern mint rarity, a coin that blends error, mystery, experimentation, and impossibility into one breathtaking artifact. And whether or not such a coin will ever be proven real, examined, auctioned, or even publicly confirmed, its story remains one of the most thrilling legends in coin collecting. And with that excitement in mind, stay tuned, keep looking through your change, and always remember that the next unbelievable discovery might be sitting right there in your pocket waiting to rewrite history. Next, 1981 quarter dollar today as we dive into one of the most unbelievable, bizarre, and almost mythical stories to ever come out of the world of modern coin collecting. And whether you're a seasoned collector, a casual hobbyist, or someone who simply enjoys the thrill of discovering hidden treasures tucked away in everyday pockets and change jars, today's deep dive is going to take you into the astonishing saga of a 1981 Washington quarter that, according to swelling rumors, numismatic legends, speculative discussions, and wild but fascinating theories, has been appraised in certain private circles and whispered about in coin forums as being worth a jaw-dropping $59 million, not because it contains precious metal, not because it belonged to anyone famous, not because it commemorated an event, but because of a baffling combination of mint errors, production anomalies, die malfunctions, planchet experiments, and circumstances so rare and unlikely that collectors describe it is a once-in-history mistake coin that never should have existed, yet somehow slipped through the mint's rigorous quality control procedures and ended up in circulation, quietly hiding in plain sight until someone with a sharp eye and a bit of luck recognized that it was anything but ordinary. And the more you analyze this coin, the deeper the mystery becomes, because this 1981 quarter, according to the legend, was struck during a year when the Denver Mint was under pressure to increase production numbers to meet rising demand, running presses at high speed, adjusting dies more frequently, and dealing with a series of minor equipment issues that created ideal conditions for bizarre minting accidents. And it is within this chaotic environment that this extraordinary error coin is believed to have been born, beginning with what experts speculate to be the most dramatic and value-driving feature, a wild planchet anomaly where the quarter was not struck on a standard copper nickel clad planchet at all, but rather on a mysterious test blende or contaminated metal disc that exhibits an unusual weight variance, a slight metallic tone shift, and a reflective shimmer under angled light that does not match any normal 1981 quarter, and this alone would make it a rare collectible potentially worth tens of thousands. But this coin goes far beyond a simple wrong planchet strike because it reportedly also displays an extraordinary double strike with rotation, where the coin was hit twice by the press, the second strike slightly rotated from the first, creating shadowed details around Washington's profile, overlapping elements in the date, and doubled features in the D mint mark that are crisp, clean, and unmistakably the result of a die being engaged twice rather than mechanical vibration or common machine doubling. And this type of rotated double strike on a modern quarter is so rare that extremely few documented examples exist, and even the rare ones generally sell for impressive sums. But this particular coin pushes the anomaly even further because it allegedly shows evidence of a spectacular die clash where the obverse and reverse dies impacted each other without a planchet between them, transferring faint ghost images from each side into the metal and leaving behind eerie, phantom-like outlines such as the subtle impression of the eagle's wings behind Washington's ponytail and slight mirrored shapes of Washington's profile behind the eagle, creating a visually stunning and highly collectible clash pattern that collectors drool over because die clashes of this clarity on modern clad quarters are not common at all, especially not in combination with other major errors, and if that wasn't enough to make seasoned numismatists lose their minds, the coin is also rumored to exhibit a partial collar strike, where the metal did not fully seat into the retaining collar during striking, causing the rim to flare slightly on one side and creating a distorted, broadened edge that proves beyond doubt that the coin was struck under misaligned or malfunctioning conditions, and partial collar strikes already demand strong prices when they appear alone, but combined with a wrong planchet, rotated double strike, and dramatic die clash, the rarity increases exponentially, pushing the theoretical value far outside normal expectations. And collectors who have discussed this legendary 1981 D quarter say that under high magnification the fields appear to show microscopic die polishing lines inconsistent with typical Denver Mint standards, which has led to wild speculation that this coin may have been part of a short-lived die reconditioning experiment, possibly involving a die that was hastily reworked following a clash, accidentally returned to a press without proper inspection, and used briefly before being retired, allowing only a handful of experimental or transitional state strikes to escape, and the idea that this coin may have come from such a brief production window adds even more mystique to its already stupefying list of anomalies, because numismatics teaches us that the rarest coins are almost always products of short mistakes, a few minutes of misalignment, an overlooked die, an unexpected material, a malfunctioning press, and suddenly a coin is born that defies everything the mint intended. And that seems to be exactly what fuels this coin's legend as collectors theorize that its immense value, rumored to reach $59 million in hypothetical private sales, comes from the fact that it may be the only known example of a multi-error modern quarter combining a wrong planchet, rotated double strike, extensive die clash, partial collar rim, experimental die polish patterns, and potentially even microvarieties such as slightly misaligned dies, inconsistent pressure distribution on the surface, and unusual flow lines that suggest there were lubrication issues during striking, all creating a piece that serves as a perfect storm of minting chaos, a swirling combination of failures that somehow produced a stunning, one-of-a-kind masterpiece of error collection. And the story gets even stranger when people speculate about how it was discovered, with one rumor claiming it surfaced in a handful of change given at a convenience store where the person receiving it noticed immediately that the rim looked odd, leading them to examine it more carefully and eventually realize that the details seemed doubled, and from there they sought expert opinions which snowballed into excitement as more specialists weighed in. And with each new observation, the coin's list of anomalies grew and the mystery deepened, creating a sensation among error coin enthusiasts who began calling it the holy grail of modern Denver Mint mistakes, and the more attention it received, the more people theorized about additional unseen features, such as the possibility that the planchet used might contain trace metals not normally present in quarters, potentially the result of contamination in the strip rolling process, which could mean the coin is not just an error but an accidental hybrid born from a production mishap, further amplifying its perceived value and making collectors dream of the unimaginable scenario where such a coin could hit the auction block and spark a bidding war powerful enough to drive its price into the tens of millions, because when rarity, mystery, error stacking, and mythology collide, collectors with deep pockets often pay staggering amounts simply to own something that cannot be replicated, and the legend of this 1981 D-quarter continues to grow, with enthusiasts arguing over whether additional micro-errors may be present, such as a slightly rotated die orientation, a faint weakness in the eagle's chest suggesting uneven strike pressure, or tiny raised metal bumps near the motto that might hint at partially filled dies or debris caught during the strike. And every one of these hypothetical details adds more fuel to the fire, creating an ever-evolving narrative where this single coin, born in a chaotic moment at the Denver Mint in 1981, stands as a monument to the rarest and most unexpected beauty that can emerge from minting mistakes, inspiring collectors everywhere to search their pockets, examine their change, and dream of uncovering a treasure that could redefine what modern error coins are capable of becoming. Next. 1996 D-quarter dollar said to be worth an astonishing $72 million because of the bizarre errors, layered mistakes, minting anomalies, mechanical misalignments, hybrid planchet mysteries, unprecedented die rotations, metal inconsistencies, double strike accidents, and even rumored experimental planchet tests that supposedly converged into one single coin that collectors treat almost like a myth. And before you think this is just another inflated collector's tale, buckle up. Because the twists, possibilities, and numismatic oddities wrapped around this coin go so deep that even veteran experts struggle to categorize it, and while the base 1996 D-quarter is extremely common, minted into the hundreds of millions, this particular alleged specimen is said to have survived the Denver Mint under conditions so improbable that even a lottery jackpot seems predictable in comparison, as stories circulate about a misaligned collar strike causing the edges to flare slightly outward while still retaining enough of the reeded pattern to suggest that the coin was struck between transitional machinery. And then there's the claim that a double die obverse error created a split shift in Washington's portrait so subtle that it only becomes apparent under angled light, giving the face a ghost-like second profile, which in turn became even stranger due to a partial die clash where fragments of the reverse eagle design imprint were said to have faintly transferred onto Washington's neck, forming an eerie phantom wing texture that should not logically exist because clashes between dies generally leave markings either on the obverse or reverse dies but not simultaneously across both in such a delicate, half-formed manner, and this alleged combination fuels speculation that the die clash may have happened in a transitional maintenance phase when the dies were reinstalled after cleaning but weren't fully seated, causing them to collide at an angle that produced only a whisper of a clash instead of the deep, harsh lines normally seen in a major die clash, and adding even more mystery is the story that the planchet itself might not have been a standard-clad quarter blank but rather a leftover experimental alloy blank that somehow ended up in the hopper, a claim supported by rumors that the coin shows unusual reflectivity under infrared light and micro-variations in its copper-nickel layers, making some believe it could be a rare off-metal strike that never should have made it out of the mint, and of course, collectors debate whether the striking pressure anomalies visible around the rim, where parts appear weakly struck while others are unusually bold, were caused by a momentary power fluctuation, a clogged striking chamber, or even a defective press that Denver supposedly retired later that same year. And then there's the bizarre possibility that the coin bears not one but two rotational misalignments, one between the obverse and reverse designs and another between the reverse design and the reeded edge, creating a triple-axis misalignment almost never documented in U.S. coinage, making collectors obsess over how such a combination could occur without the quality control systems instantly catching it. But the legend gets even more intense when whispers emerge about microscopic doubling in the date, where the 1996 supposedly has a shadow-like ghost layer beneath it that doesn't match typical machine doubling patterns, instead resembling a form of shelf doubling mixed with a minor hub misalignment, which shouldn't even be possible because the hubbing process at that time was fairly standardized, so experts wonder if the Denver Mint used a transitional hub during maintenance, causing slight distortions on only a handful of coins. And this speculation grows because some insiders claim that 1996 was a year when machinery updates and recalibrations happened frequently, especially with equipment preparing for future state quarter production, meaning there may have been brief periods where experimental or transitional setups were running test strikes, and if a circulation blank accidentally entered that process, it could result in a hybrid anomaly blending features from presses not meant to strike that year's quarters. And then there are rumors that the reverse design has a faint triple strike echo of the eagle's wing feathers, which would mean the coin might have been struck multiple times in the press without fully ejecting, a phenomenon extremely rare in high-speed minting where coins eject almost instantaneously. So if a quarter somehow stuck to the die face for even fractions of a second, the resulting multiple impressions could overlap in unusual ways. And this rare overlapping effect is exactly what perfection-driven collectors crave because it introduces a chaotic uniqueness that no normal minting process could replicate intentionally, and we can't ignore the whispers about the coin's weight allegedly being slightly off by a fraction of a gram, too small a deviation to trigger automatic rejection systems but significant enough for collectors to wonder whether the coin's core layers were improperly bonded, hinting at delamination issues or incomplete metallurgical fusion, phenomena that create long-term instability but also extreme rarity because such coins seldom survive circulation without splitting. And yet the legendary $72 million example is said to remain intact as if preserved under ideal conditions from the moment it left the mint, a detail that fuels wild theories that the coin was pulled from circulation almost immediately by someone who recognized its oddities before modern collectors were even discussing such errors, and the mystique deepens further with speculation that the Denver Mint may have been experimenting with slightly different collar configurations in the mid-90s. Possibly leading to edge anomalies like partial reading overlaps or inconsistent ridge depths, which when combined with a misaligned strike could produce the kind of hybrid edge pattern people claim to see on the mysterious 1996 D-quarter, and some numismatists even go as far as suggesting the coin carries remnants of a feeder finger scrape on the reverse field, an error typically seen on pennies but extremely rare on quarters, implying that the blank might have jammed in the press at a bad moment when the feeder arm dragged across it, leaving thin, nearly invisible gouges that only become apparent under high magnification. And although the entire notion sounds like a stacking of impossibilities, collectors who believe in this coin argue that sometimes the perfect storm of minting chaos produces a specimen so singular that the market value explodes not because of one major error but because of the convergence of 10 or 20 smaller errors and anomalies that together form an impossibility. And when a coin becomes impossible, especially in the minds of wealthy collectors hungry for the prestige of owning something no other human on earth possesses, the price skyrockets into realms normally reserved for fine art, rare gemstones, and historical relics, and that's how the legend of the 1996 D-quarter supposedly reaching $72 million continues to spread, as each rumored microscopic flaw, each whispered anomaly, adds more layers of intrigue, making collectors imagine a coin that isn't just an error but a numismatic Frankenstein created unintentionally by malfunctioning machines, human oversight, transitional equipment, shifting minting standards, and improbable timing, resulting in a singular artifact that inspires awe, disbelief, and obsession. And if even half of the stories are true, the coin's value stems from the idea that no minting process could ever replicate such a combination again, making this theoretical specimen not just rare but unique in the absolute sense, and that's the kind of uniqueness collectors dream about, chase endlessly, and pay unimaginable sums for, and it's the reason this legend continues growing, drawing in viewers like you who love the thrill of discovering what secrets may lie hidden in your pocket change, encouraging you to look twice at every coin you find because you never know when a simple quarter could turn out to be your own life-changing treasure. Next. 1990p quarter dollar that has been whispered about among collectors and treasure hunters as being worth a staggering $44 million because of the strange combination of errors, mistakes, minting anomalies, unexpected metal irregularities, mechanical mishaps, and mysterious possibilities that have convinced many that this particular coin is not just rare but possibly one of the most extraordinary minting accidents ever speculated to exist, and as we welcome you into this deep dive of numismatic wonder, prepare to explore every rumor, every odd detail, every microscopic imperfection, and every theory that attempts to explain how a quarter from 1990 could evolve from a standard Philadelphia Mint product into something so valuable that collectors discuss it with the same reverence usually reserved for legendary artifacts. Because the story of this coin begins in the bustling machinery of the Philadelphia Mint where millions upon millions of quarters were struck that year. Yet buried among ordinary circulation coins came this alleged anomaly, one that supposedly escaped the mint with a perfect storm of minting errors layered so precisely and improbably that even veteran experts struggled to determine which error came first, whether the planchet was flawed before the strike, whether the dies were misaligned after maintenance, whether the press malfunctioned mid-cycle, whether a foreign metal blank became mixed into the production batch, or whether a combination of these issues created an unprecedented hybrid error that defies typical diagnostic categories, because the 1990p quarter in question is said to display signs of a dramatic double-die obverse where Washington's profile shows subtle but undeniable shadowing near the forehead, nose, and jawline. Yet the doubling does not follow the common flat shelf-like appearance of mechanical doubling but instead resembles true hub doubling, with rounded contours that hint at a misalignment between the working hub and the die during creation, which would already make it desirable, but this coin's mystery deepens with rumors of an unusually sharp rotational misalignment between the obverse and reverse, with the reverse design allegedly rotated dramatically off-axis by several degrees, so much so that the eagle appears almost tilted in an unnatural posture when compared to the front of the coin. And this type of rotational misalignment, while known in some denominations, is almost never documented to be so extreme in 1990p quarters, and certainly not combined with doubling, but the story doesn't stop there because enthusiasts claim the coin also exhibits a broadstrike-like expansion where the rim spreads outward just slightly beyond the normal boundaries, suggesting a possible collar failure during the strike, which would allow the metal to expand horizontally instead of rising cleanly into the collar's shape. And although broad strike errors are known, combining one with major doubling and rotation would already be astonishing, yet this coin's myth grows further with descriptions of faint die clash marks both behind Washington's head and near the eagle's wings, indicating the dies may have struck each other without a planchet between them before this coin was struck, which would leave ghost-like impressions of the opposite die on the fields of the coin. And this phenomenon becomes even more fascinating because the clash on this supposedly $44 million specimen is said to be partial and unusually delicate, creating a nearly artistic echo effect where the lines of the eagle's wings seem to fade into Washington's portrait like a strange reflection, and the depth of these marks suggests either that the dies were lightly repolished afterward or that the clash occurred at an angle rather than a full-force collision, making the clashing an anomaly within an anomaly. And then we encounter the whispers about the metal composition, which some claim is not completely consistent with normal clad quarter standards, as rumors spread of microscopic differences in the copper-nickel surface layers that, under specialized testing, appear to show irregular bonding patterns, leading to speculation that the planchet may have been improperly laminated or even formed from an off-metal blank, although no official confirmation exists. The idea fuels the belief that this particular coin possesses metallurgical oddities that one would never expect from mass-produced circulation strikes, and those irregularities extend into the weight, with the coin supposedly being slightly off the standard 5.67 grams, perhaps only by a minuscule fraction but enough for trained collectors to speculate whether the blank might have undergone uneven rolling, imperfect cutting, or contamination during its creation. And such speculation becomes the foundation for part of the coin's legendary value, because when errors start stacking upon each other, the coin enters a realm beyond ordinary mint mistakes, becoming a kind of numismatic miracle that defies logical probability. And indeed, the story takes an even stranger turn when those who claim to have examined photos or magnified imagery say the lettering on the obverse, particularly the word Liberty, shows signs of irregular thickness, as if the die pressure fluctuated during striking, causing certain letters to appear slightly swollen or distorted, while others remain crisp, and this inconsistency hints at the possibility of a loose die or uneven striking force, both of which can occur in rare circumstances when machinery vibrates unexpectedly or when the die begins loosening from repeated stress. And while such distortions can happen individually, the idea that they occurred on a coin that already allegedly experienced multiple rare anomalies is what elevates this particular 1990p quarter into the category of near-mythical status among collectors who delight in anything that bends the expected rules of minting. And then there is the chatter about the reverse feathers, where some collectors claim to see doubling not only in the wing tips but also in the tail feathers, and the doubling seems inconsistent with machine doubling, instead showing split serifs and rounded edges, which are classic indicators of true hub doubling, yet official records list no major double die reverse errors for 1990p quarters, leading to the theory that this coin might represent a previously undocumented variety or an extremely early or late stage die state that escaped detection before the die was retired or repolished. And rare early die states are particularly coveted because they represent the very beginning of an error's existence before repeated striking alters or softens the features, and when combined with all these other errors, the reverse doubling becomes part of a tapestry of mistakes that defy the usual pattern of one or two anomalies, making the coin seem like the result of a perfect storm of mechanical failure, human oversight, and improbable timing. And this improbability is precisely what drives the outrageous price tag that collectors speculate about, because in the world of rare coins, the most valuable items are not just old or shiny or popular, they are unique, unrepeatable, and practically impossible to replicate. And that is exactly the mythology that has grown around this legendary 1990p quarter, one that collectors imagine as the only surviving example of a confluence of minting disasters that could not happen again even if someone tried intentionally to recreate them. Next, 1985 D quarter dollar that collectors whisper about with awe and disbelief, a coin rumored to be worth an incredible $32 million thanks to a stunning combination of errors, mistakes, unexpected minting anomalies, mechanical failures, metal inconsistencies, and almost impossible coincidences that together create one of the most extraordinary and mysterious pieces of numismatic folklore ever discussed. And as we welcome you into this journey that mixes historical curiosity, minting, science, collector passion, and pure jaw-dropping intrigue, prepare to be amazed as we explore how an everyday quarter minted in Denver in 1985 could allegedly possess such a perfect storm of errors that it becomes not just rare but practically one of a kind, the kind of coin that inspires treasure hunters, excites experienced numismatists, and sparks countless debates about how so many unusual characteristics could appear on a single piece of metal, because the story of this 1985 D quarter begins at the Denver Mint, where hundreds of millions of quarters were struck that year under conditions that were supposed to be routine and tightly controlled. Yet somewhere in that massive production run, the legend claims that one coin emerged carrying layers upon layers of errors, beginning with a dramatic off-center strike estimated at around 10 to 15%, causing Washington's profile to shift noticeably toward the rim. Yet incredibly, the full date, mint mark, and Liberty remained visible, which is already a rare and desirable combination because most off-center strikes either cut off crucial details or distort them beyond recognition. And the story only gets stranger as collectors who have allegedly seen images of this coin say that the mint mark D appears doubled in a way that resembles true hub doubling rather than mechanical doubling, showing rounded contours and distinct separation, a feature unknown on standard 1985 D issues and something that alone could make a coin extremely collectible. Yet the doubling reportedly continues into the obverse lettering, where "I in God We Trust" shows signs of splitting on the serifs and thickening of the letters, hinting at the possibility that the die used to strike this coin may have undergone a slight misalignment during the hubbing process, creating a double die obverse that went unnoticed at the mint. A fact made even more incredible because no major double die obverse varieties are officially recognized for 1985 D quarters, turning this alleged specimen into a potentially unique discovery, but the mysteries deepen further when examining the reverse, where the eagle's wings are said to show dramatic doubling as well, along with minor misalignment between the shield and the lettering United States of America, a phenomenon that has caused collectors to theorize that the reverse die might have shifted or rotated slightly between strikes, creating faint but unmistakable doubling patterns on the feathers and shield edges. And if the coin indeed contains both obverse and reverse doubling, that alone would make it almost impossibly rare because true double die errors on both sides of the same coin are almost unheard of in U.S. minting history. Yet the legend insists the errors don't stop there, as stories circulate about the coin exhibiting unusual metal coloration that suggests the possibility of an off-metal strike, perhaps struck on a foreign planchet or a transitional blank that somehow ended up in the Denver Mint's machinery, because some descriptions mention a slightly golden hue beneath the nickel surface, implying a copper-heavy alloy mix or even potential contamination during planchet preparation, and collectors know that off-metal quarter errors are among the most valuable types of mistakes, sometimes selling for tens or hundreds of thousands of dollars even without other errors. But when combined with off-center striking and doubling, the value could skyrocket to unimaginable levels, and the reported weight of the coin supposedly deviates from the standard 5.67 grams, not drastically but enough to imply that something about the planchet was irregular, perhaps due to uneven rolling or improper cladding, and collectors who obsess over every detail believe that this weight anomaly, paired with the unusual color, supports the theory that the coin might have been struck on a planchet intended for another denomination or even another country, which would push its rarity far beyond anything typically seen in circulation. Yet the story becomes even more unbelievable when chatter emerges about die clash marks on the obverse field behind Washington's head, faint images of the eagle's wing tips allegedly visible at an angle, suggesting the dies struck each other without a planchet between them, and while die clashes happen from time to time, having one occur on a coin that is already off-center, doubled on both sides, and potentially off-metal creates a level of stacking errors that defies normal mint operations, fueling the belief that this coin represents not just a mistake but a minting catastrophe condensed into a single surviving artifact, and some even speculate that this coin might have been part of a test run performed during maintenance, when dies were not properly secured, collars were misaligned, and off-metal planchets might have accidentally been present in the machinery, creating conditions for a cascade of errors that would be almost impossible to reproduce again. And this idea is strengthened by rumors that the collar on the coin produced uneven reading along the edge, where some sections show weak or incomplete ridges while others display unusually sharp ridges, suggesting that the coin may have been struck either partially out of the collar or during a moment when the collar itself malfunctioned. And collectors know that collar errors combined with off-center strikes create extremely unusual visual characteristics on the rim, characteristics that are highly sought after by specialists who study minting mechanics, and if this is indeed the case, it would add yet another rarity layer to a coin already bursting with anomalies, raising its mythical status even further. And these layered possibilities contribute to the theory that the coin's immense value does not come from one single mistake but from the fact that so many different minting errors appear to have aligned on a single piece of metal, creating a 1 in billions kind of anomaly that no mint could replicate intentionally, making the idea of a $32 million valuation not just about rarity but about uniqueness in the absolute sense, and this is what fascinates collectors the most, the possibility that this coin may truly be the only one of its kind in the world. A coin that escaped into circulation for who knows how long before someone recognized its impossible features and pulled it out, preserving it as a specimen of minting history. So bizarre that it almost seems like fiction, yet the coin's legend lives on, inspiring people to search through their spare change, their old coin jars, and their drawers in hope that they too might stumble upon a priceless treasure hiding in plain sight. Next. 1989 D-Quarter Dollar, a coin that collectors and enthusiasts alike whisper about with awe and disbelief due to the strange combination of minting errors, mechanical mistakes, die misalignments, planchet irregularities, and metal anomalies that together create a specimen so unique that it has been rumored to be the most valuable 1989 D-Quarter in existence. And as we welcome you into this deep dive of numismatic mystery, prepare to uncover every detail, every possibility, every theory that attempts to explain how a standard Philadelphia Mint production piece could accidentally evolve into something so extraordinary that it commands a market value normally reserved for historical artifacts, rare gemstones, or world-famous works of art, because the legend of this 1989 D-Quarter begins in the busy machinery of the Denver Mint where millions of quarters were produced for circulation that year, yet somewhere in the midst of this routine production, one coin supposedly survived that embodies a perfect storm of errors, starting with a dramatic off-center strike that shifted Washington's profile toward the rim, leaving a portion of the date, the mint mark, and the word Liberty visible but noticeably misaligned, and while off-center strikes themselves are collectible, this coin allegedly combines that feature with an extraordinary double die obverse, where the doubling is said to appear not as the common flat shelf-like form but as full-blown true hub doubling, creating a subtle but unmistakable second image along Washington's profile, the stars, and the lettering, and if this is accurate, it would make the coin exceptionally rare because no major double die obverse varieties are officially recorded for the 1989 D-Quarter, yet the anomalies do not stop there, as some collectors claim that the coin exhibits reverse doubling as well, particularly in the eagle's wings and the shield, with the feathers appearing split and raised in a manner inconsistent with mechanical doubling, suggesting a possible die rotation or misalignment during striking, and the combination of obverse and reverse doubling alone could place the coin in the upper echelon of collectible errors, but the story grows even stranger when whispers of metal irregularities emerge, with reports that the coin shows faint discoloration or differences in reflectivity under various lighting, implying the possibility that the planchet was partially off metal, either containing extra copper or exhibiting slight contamination from another blank, a phenomenon that would dramatically increase the coin's rarity since off-metal strikes are among the most highly prized by collectors, and some descriptions even suggest microscopic surface inconsistencies, such as weak bonding between the copper core and the nickel cladding, further supporting the theory that this coin was formed under unusual conditions, and the weight, according to rumors, is slightly off from the standard 5.67 grams, a deviation so small that it would not trigger mint rejection but enough for trained numismatists to suspect that the planchet was irregular, improperly rolled, or miscut, adding yet another layer of uniqueness to a coin already extraordinary in appearance, and the legend continues with the supposed presence of die clash marks on the obverse field behind Washington's head. Faint impressions of the eagle's wing tips visible at certain angles, suggesting that the dies may have struck each other without a planchet in between, a highly unusual occurrence, but when combined with the off-center strike, doubled dies on both sides, and metal anomalies, this die clash would be part of a truly unprecedented stack of minting errors, creating a coin whose rarity is compounded by the convergence of multiple, independent minting failures. And some collectors even suggest that the reading along the edge of the coin is inconsistent, with certain segments appearing weak or partially missing while others remain sharp and fully formed, potentially indicating a misaligned collar or irregular striking pressure, and this edge anomaly, coupled with the other errors, is precisely the kind of rare feature that drives the market value of a coin into extraordinary territory, because collectors are not simply paying for one error, they are paying for a coin that represents a perfect storm of minting impossibilities, one that would be extraordinarily difficult to replicate intentionally, and the rumors do not stop there, as some enthusiasts claim the coin carries subtle hub rotation marks, faint remnants of prior die states, and slight planchet laminations that together form a numismatic fingerprint that is almost certainly unique, and when examining the coin under magnification, these tiny details supposedly reveal themselves as evidence of multiple overlapping errors, an unusual combination that no normal circulation coin could ever possess, and all of these factors contribute to the idea that this 1989 D-quarter has become a near-mythical treasure, a coin whose market value has been theorized to reach $24 million not simply because of its age or metal content but because of the perfect and almost impossible alignment of minting mistakes, creating a one-of-a-kind piece that embodies the intersection of human error, mechanical failure, and sheer chance. And collectors who have studied the alleged photographs or detailed reports describe the coin as almost alive with anomalies, each one layering on the previous to form a composite of mistakes that makes the coin visually stunning, historically significant, and astronomically rare, and this stacking of errors, combined with the theoretical uniqueness of the coin, is precisely what justifies the unimaginable valuation attributed to it, inspiring treasure hunters and numismatists alike to study every coin they find, wondering if perhaps somewhere, just perhaps, another example of such an extraordinary minting miracle might exist hidden in a drawer or jar somewhere, waiting to be discovered. And the fascination with this coin is not simply monetary, it is about the story of imperfection becoming perfection, of randomness converging into singularity, and of a small, seemingly ordinary piece of metal suddenly transforming into a legend, a symbol of rarity and improbability. And as we explore every reported feature, from off-center strikes to doubled dies on both sides, from die clash marks to edge anomalies, from metal inconsistencies to planchet irregularities, we begin to see why the 1989 D-quarter has captured the imagination of the collecting world, commanding discussions, debates, and valuations that reach into the tens of millions, and it is this convergence of errors, possibilities, and sheer chance that continues to enthrall collectors and viewers alike, inviting everyone who sees the story to reconsider the potential hidden in coins that might otherwise be overlooked, and to remember that in the world of numismatics, sometimes the rarest treasures are not intentionally created but emerge from the most extraordinary accidents, and that is exactly the legend of the 1989 D-quarter, a coin that exists at the intersection of history, chance, error, and human fascination. A coin whose theoretical worth of $24 million is less about the currency itself and more about the improbable journey that led to its creation, preservation, and eternal fascination. Next, 1983 P-quarter dollar, a piece that has achieved near-legendary status because of the sheer improbability of the mistakes that experts claim coexist on a single specimen. And as we welcome you into this fascinating exploration of numismatic curiosity and historical accident, prepare to learn about every reported anomaly, every microscopic irregularity, and every possibility that has led enthusiasts to place such astronomical value on what is otherwise a standard circulation coin, because the story of the 1983 P-quarter begins at the Philadelphia Mint, where millions of quarters were struck for circulation that year under what were supposed to be routine and carefully controlled conditions, yet somewhere within that massive production run, a coin allegedly escaped that embodies a perfect storm of errors, starting with an off-center strike estimated at roughly 12 to 15%, shifting Washington's profile toward the rim but leaving the date, the mint mark P, and the word Liberty clearly visible. And while off-center strikes themselves can be collectible, the legend says that this particular coin combines that feature with a rare double die obverse, where the doubling appears as true hub doubling rather than the more common machine doubling, creating subtle secondary images along Washington's profile, the stars, and the lettering, a feature that would already make it extremely desirable, but collectors claim that the coin also shows reverse doubling. Particularly in the eagle's wings and the shield, where the feathers appear split and raised in ways that are inconsistent with mechanical doubling and suggest a slight die misalignment or rotation during striking, and if accurate, this combination of obverse and reverse doubling is almost unheard of in 1983 P-quarters, elevating the coin to an exceptional level of rarity. Yet the story grows even stranger when rumors emerge regarding the metal composition of the coin, with some claiming that the coin exhibits faint discoloration or irregularities in reflectivity under different lighting, suggesting that the planchet may have been partially off metal or improperly laminated, possibly containing extra copper or other minor impurities, anomalies which alone could make the coin extremely valuable, but when combined with off-center striking and double dies on both sides, the coin becomes virtually unique, a coin whose very existence seems almost impossible, and there are additional whispers about slight weight differences from the standard 5.67 grams, a deviation so minor that it would not have triggered mint rejection but enough for trained numismatists to theorize that the planchet may have been improperly rolled, cut, or even a leftover from a transitional batch used for testing, adding yet another layer of mystery to an already extraordinary specimen. And some collectors have noted the presence of faint die clash marks, subtle impressions of the eagle's wings, appearing on the obverse behind Washington's head, suggesting that the dies may have accidentally struck each other without a planchet in between, an occurrence that is rare in and of itself, but when stacked on top of off-center striking, double dies, and metal irregularities, this clash marks the coin as one of the most complex and layered minting accidents ever theorized, and some enthusiasts claim that the reading along the coin's edge is inconsistent, with certain areas showing weak or incomplete ridges while other areas remain sharp, possibly indicating a partial collar failure during striking, and edge anomalies combined with all the other irregularities are exactly the kind of feature that drives collectors to assign extraordinary value to a coin, because the coin is no longer just an error, it is a singular manifestation of multiple failures aligning perfectly, a one-in-a-billion type occurrence that would be almost impossible to replicate intentionally. And the legend continues with claims that microscopic hub rotation marks are visible along the fields, faint remnants of previous die states that somehow survived through repeated strikes, indicating that this coin may have been among the earliest or last strikes from a particularly fragile die, creating subtle features that only the sharpest eyes can detect under magnification. And when all these anomalies are considered together, the off-center strike, the doubled dies on both sides, the die clash, the edge irregularities, the metallic inconsistencies, and the weight deviation, they form a coin that collectors describe as a perfect storm of minting improbability, and it is precisely this stacking of errors that justifies the legendary valuation of $1.7 million, not because of metal content or age, but because of the impossibility of a coin carrying this exact combination of traits existing at all, and the fascination does not end there, because enthusiasts suggest that under angled light, faint ghost-like echoes of the eagle's feathers appear on Washington's shoulder, as if the dies imprinted onto each other just enough to leave artistic impressions that should never exist, and this is further reinforced by reports that the coin shows minute lamination cracks along the rim, adding yet another layer of uniqueness, anomalies that combine to make this coin not just a collectible but a numismatic marvel, a coin that embodies human error, mechanical imperfection, and sheer chance in a single, tangible piece of history, and collectors who have studied high-resolution images or detailed reports describe the coin as almost alive with these anomalies, with each imperfection stacking upon the others to create a singular artifact that is visually stunning, historically significant, and astronomically rare, and the myth of this coin continues to inspire treasure hunters, casual collectors, and experts alike, encouraging everyone to examine their coins carefully. Because sometimes the most extraordinary treasures are hidden in plain sight, waiting for someone to notice their impossible combination of anomalies, and the story of the 1983 P-quarter, a coin allegedly worth $1.7 million, continues to captivate, demonstrating that in the world of numismatics, perfection is often found in imperfection, and that a coin's value can skyrocket not through intention, but through the improbable alignment of mistakes, accidents, and mechanical oddities that together create a legend. And as we explore every facet of this coin, from off-center strikes to double dies, from die clashes to edge irregularities, from metallic anomalies to lamination cracks, we begin to understand why collectors are willing to assign such extraordinary value to a coin that otherwise seems so ordinary, because in the world of rare coins, it is not simply age, rarity, or metal content that determines worth, it is uniqueness, improbability, and the story of how a single coin came to embody a near-impossible sequence of errors that cannot be replicated, a story that continues to enthrall, educate, and inspire anyone who studies the extraordinary journey of the 1983 P quarter and its ascent into the realm of multi-million-dollar collectibles, a coin whose very existence reminds us that in numismatics, the most unlikely combinations of mistakes can sometimes create the most extraordinary treasures imaginable, a coin whose legend, mysteries, and possibilities are so fascinating that collectors, historians, and enthusiasts will likely debate and admire it for decades to come, ensuring that its story remains alive, vibrant, and endlessly intriguing for anyone willing to look closely enough to see what others might overlook. Next, 1993 P quarter dollar, a coin that has captured the imagination of collectors, investors, and enthusiasts around the globe, a coin rumored to be worth an astonishing $31 million due to a rare and almost unbelievable combination of errors, mistakes, minting anomalies, mechanical failures, planchet irregularities, and metal inconsistencies that together make this quarter an object of fascination and desire. And as we welcome you into this exploration of one of the most talked about numismatic phenomena, prepare to examine every reported feature, every theory, and every microscopic detail that has contributed to its legendary status, because the story of this 1993 P quarter begins in the Philadelphia Mint during the standard production of millions of quarters intended for general circulation. Yet somewhere among this massive output, one coin is said to have emerged carrying multiple anomalies that, when stacked together, create a perfect storm of minting impossibilities. Starting with a significant off-center strike that displaced Washington's profile dramatically toward the rim while leaving the date, mint mark, and the word Liberty intact and legible, and while off-center strikes are collectible on their own, what makes this coin extraordinary is that it allegedly combines this feature with a dramatic double die obverse, where the doubling appears as true hub doubling rather than mechanical doubling, creating subtle secondary images along Washington's face. The stars, and the lettering, a feature that alone would make the coin extremely desirable, but in this instance, the coin is also rumored to have reverse doubling, particularly noticeable in the eagle's wings, the shield, and the branch, showing raised splits and offsets that suggest a slight die rotation or misalignment during striking. A combination of obverse and reverse doubling that is almost unprecedented for 1993 P quarters, placing the coin in a category of extreme rarity and making it a collector's dream. Yet the anomalies reportedly do not end there, as some experts claim the coin exhibits unusual metallic characteristics, including faint discoloration, differences in reflectivity, and even minute surface variations that suggest the planchet may have been partially off metal or improperly laminated, perhaps containing a higher copper content or showing evidence of contamination from a different blank, features which are individually prized by collectors but when combined with doubling and off-center striking, elevate the coin to near mythical status, and the weight of the coin is also said to deviate slightly from the standard 5.67 grams, a difference so small it would not cause rejection at the mint but enough to suggest irregular rolling, miscut planchets, or even a transitional blank that found its way into the production run, adding yet another layer of uniqueness to a coin that already defies expectations. And collectors have also noted faint die clash marks on the obverse behind Washington's head, subtle impressions of the eagle's wings visible under certain lighting conditions, indicating that the dies may have struck each other without a planchet between them, an occurrence that is rare on its own but becomes extraordinary when combined with the off-center strike, double dies on both sides, and unusual metallic characteristics, forming a coin whose complexity and rarity are almost unimaginable, and some enthusiasts have reported inconsistent reading along the edge, with sections appearing weak or incomplete while others remain sharp, possibly indicating a partial collar failure during the strike, and when this type of edge anomaly is combined with all the other errors, the coin becomes a one-of-a-kind artifact, a perfect alignment of minting improbabilities, creating an object whose value is driven not simply by age or metal content but by the impossibility of all these errors appearing together, and the legend continues with claims that under magnification, faint ghost-like echoes of the eagle's feathers appear on Washington's shoulder, as if the dies imprinted onto one another just enough to leave artistic impressions that defy normal minting logic, further confirmed by reports of tiny lamination cracks along the rim, anomalies which collectors argue could only exist on a coin subjected to multiple simultaneous minting issues. And the coin allegedly also exhibits microscopic hub rotation marks and subtle remnants of previous die states, suggesting that it may have been struck at an unusual point in the die's life, early or late, when imperfections were most likely to be exaggerated, creating features that only a trained eye can detect, and when all these anomalies are stacked together, the off-center strike, double dies on both sides, die clash marks, edge irregularities, metallic inconsistencies, lamination cracks, and hub rotation traces, they form a coin that numismatists describe as a perfect storm of minting improbability, a coin whose theoretical uniqueness drives the valuation to an astronomical $31 million, not because of the intrinsic value of the metal but because of the improbability of a single coin carrying all these features simultaneously. And the fascination with this 1993 P-quarter goes beyond monetary value, as collectors and enthusiasts are captivated by the story of imperfection becoming perfection, of chance accidents converging to create something virtually irreplaceable, and the legend encourages careful examination of all coins, reminding collectors that the next multi-million-dollar treasure could be hiding in plain sight. And the story of this quarter continues to inspire numismatic debate, detailed analysis, and wide-eyed wonder, with discussions about how off-center striking, double dies, die clashes, metallic anomalies, edge irregularities, lamination cracks, and hub rotation marks can coexist on a single coin to form what is arguably one of the most remarkable errors in modern mint history, demonstrating that in the world of rare coins, extreme value is not solely tied to age, rarity, or precious metals but to uniqueness, improbability, and the convergence of multiple minting mistakes into a single, tangible artifact, a story that continues to fascinate, educate, and enthrall anyone who studies it, reminding us all that in numismatics, sometimes the most extraordinary treasures are born from the most unlikely accidents. And that is the story of the 1993 P-quarter dollar, a coin whose alleged $31 million value is rooted in the perfect alignment of minting anomalies, a coin that stands as a testament to the wonder, complexity, and intrigue of the coin collecting world, a coin whose legend will continue to inspire, excite, and mystify collectors and enthusiasts for generations to come, and a coin that challenges us to look closer, think deeper, and appreciate the remarkable possibilities hidden within what might seem at first glance to be just a simple quarter. Next, 1974 quarter dollar today, as we explore one of the most astonishing, fascinating, and mind-boggling stories in the world of rare coins, a story that transforms an ordinary coin into a multi-million-dollar treasure almost instantly, because today we are diving deep into the legendary tale of the 1974 quarter dollar, a coin that has achieved near-mythical status among collectors, numismatists, and enthusiasts alike, a coin rumored to be worth an incredible $8 million due to a stunning combination of minting errors, mechanical mistakes, planchet irregularities, die misalignments, metallic anomalies, and unusual features that together create a singular piece of numismatic history that has captivated imaginations and sparked intense debate. And as we welcome you into this exploration of an extraordinary coin, prepare to be amazed by the details, the possibilities, and the sheer improbability of a coin from 1974 emerging with such a perfect storm of minting anomalies, because the story of this quarter begins at the Philadelphia and Denver mints, where millions of quarters were struck that year for general circulation under conditions that were supposed to be routine and tightly controlled. Yet somewhere within that massive production run, one coin allegedly survived that embodies multiple errors stacked together in a way that makes it not just rare but almost impossibly unique. Starting with an off-center strike estimated at roughly 10 to 15%, shifting Washington's profile dramatically toward the rim while leaving the date, the mint mark, and the word Liberty clearly visible, and while off-center strikes themselves are collectible, what makes this coin extraordinary is that it is also said to feature a dramatic doubled die obverse, where the doubling appears as true hub doubling rather than mechanical doubling, creating subtle secondary images along Washington's profile, the stars, and the lettering, a feature that alone would make the coin highly desirable. But in this instance, collectors claim the coin also exhibits reverse doubling, particularly on the eagle's wings and shield, showing raised splits and offsets that suggest die rotation or misalignment during striking, a combination of obverse and reverse doubling that is almost unheard of for 1974 quarters, elevating it to a level of extreme rarity. Yet the anomalies reportedly do not stop there, as some experts have noted unusual metallic characteristics, including faint discoloration, differences in reflectivity, and minute surface variations that suggest the planchet may have been off-metal or improperly laminated, possibly containing extra copper or evidence of contamination from a different blank, anomalies which individually would be prized by collectors but when combined with off-center striking and doubling, make the coin nearly unparalleled. And the weight of the coin is also said to deviate slightly from the standard 5.67 grams, a small but significant difference that suggests irregular rolling, miscut planchets, or even a transitional blank that accidentally entered circulation, adding yet another layer of uniqueness to a coin that already defies expectations. And collectors have also noted faint die clash marks on the obverse behind Washington's head, subtle impressions of the eagle's wings visible under certain angles, indicating that the dies may have struck each other without a planchet in between, a rare occurrence in itself but made extraordinary when combined with off-center strike, doubled dies on both sides, and unusual metallic characteristics, forming a coin whose complexity and rarity are almost unimaginable. And some enthusiasts claim that the reading along the edge is inconsistent, with sections appearing weak or incomplete while others remain sharp, possibly indicating a partial collar failure during striking. And when this type of edge anomaly is combined with all the other errors, the coin becomes a one-of-a-kind artifact, a perfect alignment of minting improbabilities, creating an object whose value is driven not simply by age or metal content but by the impossibility of all these errors appearing together. And the legend continues with claims that under magnification, faint ghost-like echoes of the eagle's feathers appear on Washington's shoulder, as if the dies imprinted onto one another just enough to leave impressions that defy normal minting logic, further confirmed by reports of tiny lamination cracks along the rim, anomalies which collectors argue could only exist on a coin subjected to multiple simultaneous minting issues. And the coin allegedly also exhibits microscopic hub rotation marks and subtle remnants of previous die states, suggesting that it may have been struck at an unusual point in the die's life, either early or late, when imperfections were most likely to be exaggerated, creating features that only a trained eye can detect. And when all these anomalies are stacked together, the off-center strike, doubled dies on both sides, die clash marks, edge irregularities, metallic inconsistencies, lamination cracks, and hub rotation traces, they form a coin that numismatists describe as a perfect storm of minting improbability, a coin whose theoretical uniqueness drives the valuation to an astronomical $8 million. Not because of intrinsic metal value but because of the improbability of a single coin carrying all these features simultaneously, and the fascination with this 1974 quarter goes beyond monetary value, as collectors and enthusiasts are captivated by the story of imperfection becoming perfection, of chance accidents converging to create something virtually irreplaceable, and the legend encourages careful examination of all coins, reminding collectors that the next multi-million-dollar treasure could be hiding in plain sight. And the story of this quarter continues to inspire numismatic debate, detailed analysis, and wide-eyed wonder, with discussions about how off-center striking, doubled dies, die clashes, metallic anomalies, edge irregularities, lamination cracks, and hub rotation marks can coexist on a single coin to form what is arguably one of the most remarkable errors in mint history, demonstrating that in the world of rare coins, extreme value is not solely tied to age, rarity, or precious metals but to uniqueness, improbability, and the convergence of multiple minting mistakes into a single, tangible artifact, a story that continues to enthrall, educate, and fascinate anyone who studies it, reminding us all that in numismatics, sometimes the most extraordinary treasures are born from the most unlikely accidents, and that is the story of the 1974 quarter dollar, a coin whose alleged $8 million value is rooted in the perfect alignment of minting anomalies, a coin that stands as a testament to the wonder, complexity, and intrigue of the coin-collecting world, a coin whose legend will continue to inspire, excite, and mystify collectors and enthusiasts for generations to come, and a coin that challenges us to look closer, think deeper, and appreciate the remarkable possibilities hidden within what might at first seem to be just a simple quarter. Today, as we explore one of the most fascinating, astonishing, and truly mind-boggling stories in the world of coin collecting, a story that turns a seemingly ordinary piece of currency into a multi-million-dollar treasure almost overnight, because today we are diving deep into the legend of the 1986 quarter dollar, a coin that has captured the imagination of collectors, numismatists, and enthusiasts around the globe, a coin rumored to be worth an extraordinary $5 million due to a remarkable convergence of minting errors, mechanical mistakes, die misalignments, planchet irregularities, metallic anomalies, and other unusual features that together make this coin one of the most talked about specimens in modern numismatic history. And as we welcome you into this exploration of an extraordinary coin, prepare to be amazed by the details, the possibilities, and the sheer improbability of a coin from 1986 emerging with such a perfect storm of minting anomalies, because the story of this quarter begins at the Denver Mint, where millions of quarters were struck that year under standard conditions intended for circulation, yet somewhere within that massive production, one coin is said to have emerged carrying multiple errors stacked together in a way that makes it not just rare but almost impossibly unique, starting with an off-center strike estimated at roughly 10 to 15%, displacing Washington's profile significantly toward the rim while leaving the date, mint mark, and the word Liberty clearly visible, and while off-center strikes themselves are collectible, what makes this coin extraordinary is that it allegedly also features a dramatic doubled die obverse, where the doubling appears as true hub doubling rather than mechanical doubling, creating subtle secondary images along Washington's face, the stars, and the lettering, a feature that alone would make it highly desirable. But in this instance, collectors claim the coin also exhibits reverse doubling, particularly in the eagle's wings, shield, and branch, showing raised splits and offsets that suggest die rotation or misalignment during striking, a combination of obverse and reverse doubling that is almost unheard of for 1986 quarters, elevating it to a level of extreme rarity. Yet the anomalies reportedly do not stop there, as some experts note unusual metallic characteristics, including faint discoloration, differences in reflectivity, and tiny surface variations that suggest the planchet may have been off-metal, improperly laminated, or containing extra copper or contamination from another blank, anomalies which individually would be prized by collectors but when combined with off-center striking and doubling, make the coin nearly unparalleled, and the weight of the coin is also said to deviate slightly from the standard 5.67 grams, a difference so small it would not trigger mint rejection but enough to suggest irregular rolling, miscut planchets, or even a transitional blank that accidentally entered production, adding yet another layer of uniqueness to a coin that already defies expectations. And collectors have also noted faint die clash marks on the obverse behind Washington's head, subtle impressions of the eagle's wings visible under certain angles, indicating that the dies may have struck each other without a planchet in between, a rare occurrence in itself but made extraordinary when combined with off-center strike, doubled dies on both sides, and unusual metallic characteristics, forming a coin whose complexity and rarity are almost unimaginable. And some enthusiasts claim that the reading along the edge is inconsistent, with sections appearing weak or incomplete while others remain sharp, possibly indicating a partial collar failure during striking. And when this type of edge anomaly is combined with all the other errors, the coin becomes a one-of-a-kind artifact, a perfect alignment of minting improbabilities, creating an object whose value is driven not simply by age or metal content but by the impossibility of all these errors appearing together. And the legend continues with claims that under magnification, faint ghost-like echoes of the eagle's feathers appear on Washington's shoulder, as if the dies imprinted onto one another just enough to leave impressions that defy normal minting logic, further confirmed by reports of tiny lamination cracks along the rim, anomalies which collectors argue could only exist on a coin subjected to multiple simultaneous minting issues. And the coin allegedly also exhibits microscopic hub rotation marks and subtle remnants of previous die states, suggesting that it may have been struck at an unusual point in the die's life, either early or late, when imperfections were most likely to be exaggerated, creating features that only a trained eye can detect. And when all these anomalies are stacked together, the off-center strike, doubled dies on both sides, die clash marks, edge irregularities, metallic inconsistencies, lamination cracks, and hub rotation traces, they form a coin that numismatists describe as a perfect storm of minting improbability, a coin whose theoretical uniqueness drives the valuation to an astronomical $5 million, not because of the intrinsic value of the metal but because of the improbability of a single coin carrying all these features simultaneously. And the fascination with this 1980 60 quarter goes beyond monetary value, as collectors and enthusiasts are captivated by the story of imperfection becoming perfection, of chance accidents converging to create something virtually irreplaceable, and the legend encourages careful examination of all coins, reminding collectors that the next multi-million-dollar treasure could be hiding in plain sight. And the story of this quarter continues to inspire numismatic debate, detailed analysis, and wide-eyed wonder, with discussions about how off-center striking, doubled dies, die clashes, metallic anomalies, edge irregularities, lamination cracks, and hub rotation marks can coexist on a single coin to form what is arguably one of the most remarkable errors in mint history, demonstrating that in the world of rare coins, extreme value is not solely tied to age, rarity, or precious metals but to uniqueness, improbability, and the convergence of multiple minting mistakes into a single, tangible artifact, a story that continues to enthrall, educate, and fascinate anyone who studies it, reminding us all that in numismatics, sometimes the most extraordinary treasures are born from the most unlikely accidents. And that is the story of the 1980 60 quarter dollar, a coin whose alleged $5 million value is rooted in the perfect alignment of minting anomalies, a coin that stands as a testament to the wonder, complexity, and intrigue of the coin-collecting world, a coin whose legend will continue to inspire, excite, and mystify collectors and enthusiasts for generations to come, and a coin that challenges us to look closer, think deeper, and appreciate the remarkable possibilities hidden within what might at first seem to be just a simple quarter.